Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Show. I'm your host Cal, and joining me today I've got Tom, and just in time, almost had a bit of a rough start there. Heff, you've made it.
Mate, I'm the most least reliable person when it comes to figuring out time differences. But made it in time, so it's all good.
But he's clutch. He's like that.
So I appreciate everyone. But yeah, the bit of a late start. I think we've 4 out of 5 times we've got it wrong every time we've caught up Heff with the time difference. But we've got here. But great to have you on, mate. You are our special guest, of course, from the Keeper League podcast. We don't have Kerm with us today. Kerm is flat out with something else that he's working up. But we're super excited to jump into another show of GameDay Squad here. For those who don't know, GameDay Squad is a brand new fantasy sport platform that currently has an Aussie rules and rugby league game. So today we're going to get stuck into a bunch of questions. We've had people writing in to you, Heff. We know how good you are in the Keeper League space. So all day people have been feeding through questions. We've got a few other things. Our regular buy, sell game is back. Trade battles is here. Lock of the weeks. And yeah, I know it's the first week we don't have footy on a Thursday night. So if you are new to GameDay Squad or you are bored and don't have anything to do tonight, make sure you jump on, download the app. We do have that rugby league game. I was just showing we're opening packs with Tom while we're waiting for you, Heff. I finished 7th in the rugby league game somehow, and I know absolutely nothing about it. So if you're sitting down tonight and you don't want to have any footy to watch, turn over to the rugby league and start your GameDay Squad team. But before we get stuck into all of that fun stuff, Tom, I believe we're going to kick things off by going through our teams.
Yeah, absolutely we are, mate. We're going to do a quick team review, but I've set up a couple slides. And what I wanted to do is, Heff, we had you on for our first live stream. And I wanted to pull up your old team, let's call it, because we had a little look and I might have got the photo wrong, sorry. I'm not sure.
Just a smidgen. I don't look like that anymore.
So we're just comparing. We're having a look at this team. So this is what you started off GameDay Squad in round 1 for the AFL with. And we might flick it over because have a look at this difference. Clearly there's been a strategy change, something along those lines. Do you want to talk through it?
Yeah, really, my round 1 team hinged on getting that Diamond Tom Stewart on the eve of the season. And it was just like, new card, new toy, wanted to get it into the side. So chucked it in there. And the only way I could do that was really pad everything else out with bronzes, essentially. Didn't go very well round 1. Learned a very, very hard lesson that, if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's probably not going to go too well if that person gets injured in the first 5 minutes of the game. So I tried to go a little bit safer and, padded out with silvers. Played around with a different strategy where I had, I think, 2 less silvers, 2 bronzes, and then had a platinum in the side. With Clayton Oliver Platinum, which worked right. But I think the kind of the meta strategy for me, I think, is to pad it out with silvers and to have that 1 gold. I call it the captain from the classic world. But that's essentially my strategy now.
It's obviously working. You've moved up. You're the highest. We're all playing in the same classic competition. We've got you first because you are highest at the moment. You're sitting 11th, just outside that top 10. So things are working for you. What changes have you made from your team last week to the one going into this week?
Well, I actually went backwards last week because I was 6th a couple of weeks ago, so I'm slowly going backwards. But that has a lot to do with me fielding a donut this week. I was pretty excited. I won a Sheasel auction on the Thursday evening on my way to the footy, and I was like, sweet, got the auction done. Like, that's all I need to do, get Sheasel on field, done there, and completely forgot to take Doherty out of my defence. Too many things on the mind, trying to get to the city on time, trying to get to the game, not miss my train as well. That was what pegged me back last week. This week I think I brought Steele in, and because I had that Doherty donut, I've brought Jake Lloyd into my defence there. I love Jake Lloyd. Listeners to the podcast know I defend him to the hills. Kays always reckons he's finished and he's done, but love the dude.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you got your Sheasel in there. I went looking for one myself this week. I know I was trying to. I forgot about bidding for that one last week, so I was disappointed I'm missing out on that. And I don't know what price you ended up getting him on, but he's one of the most sought after cards. Do you know you share the price you got?
Yeah, well, listen, this is a funny story, and there's a bit of a bug with it coming through. So I won the auction, and it at $45, and but it didn't come through in time for the round. So I think the coach must have had to approve it or something like that. So what happened was I bought another one for $50. That was on the transfer market. So yeah, I paid $95 for 2 Sheezels. Not too bad.
Well, considering I went looking for one now, and the cheapest one is $150 for silver.
There we go.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. No, you've done well
right.
there. I wish I had one in my team.
Yeah, maybe I could sell my other one to you.
Yeah,
$95.
Yeah, please. Anything less than 100. We'll talk after the show. The show. Tom, you have been bragging all week that you're still ahead of me. You're sitting 18th at the moment. What changes have you made for the week?
Yes, I have been, and it's not too hard to stay in front of you this year. I'm all over you, mate. I can't lie. But let's go through the changes. Redmond, gone. See you later. I've got Lockie Weller in there, silver. So put him in. Been liking the form he's been in. Hoping he can continue that for me this week. This was a hard one to do. I just did not have enough midfield depth. I've gone with a gold Tim Kelly in my midfield. I'm sure you can see him right there. He's replaced my gold Zach Merritt. So very unfortunate. Zach Merritt has been ruled out. Love my boy Zach Merritt. Been playing him for a long time. So it's going to hurt fielding going in this week, the Zeus Cannons without him. And I brought my beloved Rory Laird gold back. I made that big deal on the show about how I dropped him. I didn't like how the form was, and it just hurt me too much watching the Crows play without seeing gold Laird out there. So I hope we can rectify things. Laird, I still love you. Put on a show for me, mate.
We haven't had a chance to speak properly, Heff, about the Laird that you got, the diamond one on one of your live streams on a Wednesday night, and you did it on Showdown week wearing the Prison Bars jersey, and you were there celebrating a Crows player. Part of me still thinks you cost us the Showdown.
I guess my issue at the moment is I love fantasy more than I love supporting Port Adelaide at the moment. I think that's the problem. Although that was after we just got flogged by Collingwood and we lost the Showdown. I wouldn't say I'm back on board 100%, but the last 2 weeks have been promising, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not fearing watching the footy, but watch us. We're playing West Coast this week. Watch us go back on that. My team, I've made a couple of changes. So I've taken Duncan out of my back line. I know he had a big game, underperformed, but I brought in Sicily. So I'm keen to get your thoughts, Heff, there. I saw, Tom, you're sticking with Duncan. I'm keen to get your thoughts on where you think Duncan is going to fall as a player this year.
I think Duncan's going to be okay. Like, first week back, like, always going to take some time to work into it. Coming against Hawthorn is a pretty cruisy matchup. Went big last week, but then came back to the pack last week. I know West Coast is no different, but I think just given his interrupted preseason, he's probably just a bit sore coming off of things. Sicily, I absolutely love, and because he's the skipper, you expect him to get points galore, touches galore, but playing a few more defensive roles over the last few weeks. So I think long term, I like Duncan throughout the rest of the season, so I don't mind it. But the sick dog's not a bad option either. You just got to make sure he gets the right role in the right week, really.
Yeah, right. Nice. And my other trades were I took Kelly out. I've liked the form of Walsh. Walsh has come in. And I've taken out Jeremy Cameron out of my forward line. And I've brought in Zachy Butters because I just think there'd be a bit of a tougher matchup for Cameron against the Swans, even without their key backs. Teams don't score heavily against the Swans. And I think hopefully Port have a field day against West Coast. So, yeah, that is my team. Now, I believe, Tom, we've got a pretty big mailbag this week. Like we were saying, there's been a fair few questions to come through. I believe you're in charge of going through them all today.
Yeah, let me take it away, mate. We hit up the community. We asked for a lot of questions, not only for yourself, Heff, but for you, Callum. So I might just shoot away. I'll let you know who it's directed at, and I'll get your answers. Heff, first up, this one's from me. How was Gather Round? It's looked pretty awesome.
It was fantastic. Like, it surpassed all expectations. Like, I thought it was going to be cool to have every, team playing here and whatnot. And I knew I was going to get to 3 of the games. It was going to be cool. But just the whole vibe of the city, I haven't felt Adelaide so vibrant. And, you're walking down, you're just walking through the city, whatever, and you see, I was walking down King William Street and, there's Christian Petrarca. And then I look over there and there's, I don't know, who else was there? Ben Cunnington. And then I walk around the corner and Andrew McGrath's just sat there. It was just incredible. And then Jared Waitley just, walks past and, with his kids and stuff like that. It's just what is going on in my city? It was incredible. And so I was just, when I found out Sunday that we were going to have it for another 3 years, absolutely stoked. Like, it's only going to get better. That's the thing. And it was already so good. So it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was a trial almost, right?
Yeah.
Like it was put together quite quickly, and what a fantastic job they did putting that together. And you don't even think it's going to get better from here. And what a great foundation to build on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, next one's for you again, Heff. We'll get into the fantasy side of things now because I know that's what everyone wants to hear from you. But
all right.
Will Callum Wilkie maintain his long-term form? This is from the dabblers on our Discord.
Yeah. He's gone 3 tons in a row. Yeah. Like I don't think that is sustainable. I don't think he's going to be the 100 average guy, but you look at the way St Kilda play, it's super fantasy friendly. A lot of their drive stems from the back line, are kind of cutting off across half back, and then they'll chip it usually go sideways. So that's an extra +6 for someone there. And then that's when they start their attack. But what I noticed about Wilkie last week was he was a lot of the time the last line of defence guy. So teams play that kind of zone where they push right at the ground and try to strangle the opposition. When they get the quick turnover, Wilkie was kind of just staying back and he would mop up that kind of loose ball as well. I don't know if he's going to be allowed to play that every week. Collingwood were more than happy to let him do it because I think they had faith in their ability to win the game. Yeah. I think he's going to be still around the 80 plus average mark, 85, around that mark, because he's got those big scores in the bag now. It's going to be hard for him to drop back. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few lower scores from the season, for the rest of the season coming back. But I still think he can kind of maintain around that 80 mark, given St Kilda's game style.
Yeah, absolutely. Callum, mate, might shoot this one to you. So this is mainly for capped, but being 5 rounds in, are we starting to get an idea of what the ideal structure should look like? And this is from Dan, 5-5s on the Discord.
Yeah, so I saw this one. I think he's talking about when setting up your team. And I think the answer for that is I think there is a mathematical way to go, and that's the way that Heff goes. So all silvers, 1 gold, and then bronze on your bench. I think that gets you the most multipliers for your team. But as you can see, everyone's a little bit different, and myself and Tom have gone and opted to play a few more golds. And I think it comes down to what players you have. So I look at someone like Rory Laird, and I know he's going to score more than most of my forwards, and then even some of my defenders. So I like having him as that extra 0.1 as a gold, because I think that's going to outweigh maybe the 0.1 somewhere else I lose by not playing all silvers and golds. So I would be very careful of playing your diamonds and playing your platinums in the Cap League, as we saw Heff before at the start. You play your Tom Stewart, it can go badly. But in saying that, if your goal is to win weekly competitions, and if you are someone that's just jumped on and you're trying to get into the prizes and you're trying to win weekly, then you've got a bit more variance in playing a lot more of those higher cards. So it depends what you're aiming for. The safer bet, the seasonal competition, I'd stick to more silvers and then the gold. But if you're really trying to compete and steal some weekly competitions, then maybe have a look at what players you've got and if they could be ones to play.
Yeah, great answer, mate. Great answer. Heff, I'll shoot this one to you. Bit of a long one. So are we seeing the changing of the guard? So in terms of big dog fantasy scorers for teams, so for example, like Sarong moving past Brayshaw, Mills stuck outside of Goulden and Warner, getting more opportunities, Anderson potentially passing Took, Wines is now fading behind the Butters and Rosie, and Green past Jelly. Is it just a trend of breakouts, or is this experience, is this going to continue to happen?
I think that was a typo. I think it's meant to be Kelly. So I think that's what Warner Josh Bros. On Discord meant. Yeah, not Josh Jelly.
Yeah. Jelly. I should have picked up on that. And this is from the Warner Bros. On Discord, yeah.
They do call him Jelly as his nickname, so I guess
there you go.
It does kind of work. So yeah. So it's all good.
I get it wrong for the notes.
Yeah, we all knew that. Okay, so a lot of them are circumstantial. So who gets the attention at each club kind of thing. Generally, most of them have a player ahead of them that's going to get some attention. I know at Fremantle, Brayshaw, they're testing out a few different things with him that isn't as possession-based. It's more trying to contest it, play that inside game, play that contested work, that sort of stuff. That's affecting his score where it kind of just lets Sarong get off the leash. Who were the other ones? There was the GWS one. I think so. With Cornelio and Kelly, there's just players ahead that you're going to look at ahead of Green. That kind of helps him a bit. Who were the other two?
Situation. So Mills. You got
Swans. Swans is a funny one because it's such a deep midfield, and someone like Mills has extra kind of tricks in his bag, extra strings to his bow. like grew up or started playing in defence and all that sort of stuff. And when they're trying to roll so many midfielders through there, he's a natural one to kind of leave that side, even though, he's lining up on the wing on the outside and stuff like that as well. I think just missing out on that inside time is hurting him a bit. So, yeah, a lot of them are circumstantial. I'm not sure if it's a trend or if it's a changing of the guard. It's more about just what's going on. It's hard to, it's different at each club and it's hard to pinpoint. I don't think it's an overall trend. It's just what the circumstances at each club, because you can look at other clubs as well and things aren't changing, So, yeah.
Yeah, love that. What about the Port Adelaide one? So you got Wines fading behind Butters and Rosie. Is that?
I think that's a genuine chat. Yeah, that's a genuine changing the guard. But again, they offer different things to Wines does. So Wines, he was always a low time on ground player initially, and then around the Brownlow year and the year before, they bumped him up and he was playing a lot more time on ground. Builds his scoring through tackling and that sort of stuff a bit more than the others, and he definitely built his possessions up, but that was due to the time on ground thing. I think that one's probably a genuine one, but also Wines, you've got to remember he had a pretty injury-interrupted preseason as well. But I think the other two kind of suit the game style that's more like the modern game style, that fast kind of pace, that run and dash burst game style. Absolutely. I think those two actually suit that a little bit more than Wines does. So there probably is a bit of a changing of the guard there, and that's more to do with the way the game's developing.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more there. Callum, I might shoot this one at you, mate. So a lot of questions in the Discord around strategy and dual position players. So DPP, do you want to give any insight into Game Day Squad's plans with this and how these positions are going to be determined?
Yeah, so it's obviously topical at the moment because I know AFL Fantasy have just come out with all of theirs. So Game Day Squad does not have dual positions. So just to answer this one, our position as it stands at the moment is we're probably not looking to introduce it at any point in the future. That might change, of course, but as it sits here right now, dual positions are not part of our plans going forward. We're always going to keep our options open for see how things go. But yeah, just for what that means for next year is we're likely going to have players who potentially are changing positions, like someone like a Ben Keys might actually be a forward next year. So people I know on the Discord were asking about, is it too early to start looking for the value of those players? Well, as you can kind of see the way we've set up our positions, we use the data that's come through from our stats provider and from Champion Data to make the decisions. But you can sort of see if someone's kind of 50-50 forward or midfield, then they're going to be a forward in our game. So your Rosies, your Dunkleys, Tyrannos, all those will be forward. So I'd imagine you'd have players next year like Bailey Smith and who did I just say there before?
Ben Keys.
Ben Keys. Yeah, they are likely going to be forwards in next year if they're forward midfielder in AFL Fantasy.
Yeah, wow. And that's it's definitely going to determine their value long term as well. So definitely keep an eye on that and have a look at some of those potentials. But Heff, I'll shoot this one at you. So given that Game Day Squad is a dynasty platform and you're from the Keeper League, you're probably the most poised person to answer this. So I'm looking at rookies, young guns that are going to have significant playable value either next year and beyond. But other than the obvious, the known, the Sheasels, the Ashcrofts, is there someone that gets you excited?
Yeah, a guy who hasn't played yet. There's a few. So a guy that hasn't played yet that I've loved all preseason is Harvey Gallagher, drafted to the Dogs. And I actually picked him up. I think I got a gold or a platinum version of him the other night in my pack openings, which I was pretty happy with. He was a small forward initially, and they moved him to half-back line for the last 5 games of the season in the NAB League. Can't actually remember which club it was he played for. But yeah, he moved into the half-back line, and I think he averaged 140 from his last 5 games, and that was like legit getting like 140 every game. So like, yeah, a player like him, I know the Dogs do have a pretty deep back line in those similar type of running types. But I think he's definitely one for the future. There's also a Crows draftee who was massive. I'm not sure if he gets a game straight up or anytime soon, but Billy Dowling was a massive scorer at underage level, 125.5 AFL fantasy point average in the Sanford under 18s last year, and that's actually the highest fantasy average out of any of the draftees this year. So he's another one. If you can get your hands on him, might be a good stash for the future. And looking at the chat right now, Doss is saying George Wardlaw for North. I agree with that, but I reckon he's just a bit too well known. He's people are going to be onto him pretty quickly, I reckon.
Yeah, great work. Yeah. And that was from Dacos from our Discord as well. So thanks for that question, Dacos. That's good. Callum, I'll go with you.
Yeah, so I think this one was a question. I think this is the last one that was asked on the Discord. That was a bit of a longer question. And I said I'd tackle it here. It's easier than trying to type it all out. And I think I'd give a better answer for it. So, Tom, do you want to hit it away?
Yeah, absolutely. So he's wondering how the game grows over the next 12 months. So will there be a new release of different card types? Sort of looking at like Game Breakers, Brownlow cards, All Australian, Coleman, etc. So if not, what reason will there be for existing players to keep buying packs? So that's a great question. Why don't you take
Yeah,
it?
and it's good we got you on, Heff, because it's something we have thought about a lot, and it's definitely something we want to introduce, and we have thought about all the different types of cards that have just been said there and some, but we're very mindful to not saturate the game as well. So, Heff, this time of year at FIFA, when you get to the end of the game, it's just stacked with cards, and you play against someone, and everyone's got a different colored card, and it just gets a little bit tough at the end. So we will look to introduce it, but we want to be really mindful about how we do that. And part of being mindful as, the platform is actually seeing how the game grows to start with without it. So how are people using the transfer market? How are people opening packs? What does that look like before we then start sprinkling these other things on top? So yeah, definitely will be something we look to do. But yeah, we're just in the process of obviously getting a few other things, and then we'll come back to them as well. So that's part one.
Yeah, let me get into part two. Yeah, BB Racing hit a part two here. So also, most of the bigger players, so once you like filling out your squad, you don't use a lot of your players. Like a large percentage of your club is just sitting there. So what's our team thinking of looking at play to play fantasy? A lot of other people do it, like So Rare. Like, what's our strategy looking for in that?
Yeah, so at the moment we've got 2 competitions for every sport, and we want to introduce at least a third one going forward. That would sit somewhere between the 2 at the moment. And the other big thing we want to do, we want to have it so that users can actually compete into multiple competitions. So I could be a user competing in the classic competition and the champion competition and the middle one, but then I can't use the same card in multiple competitions. So then all of a sudden you've got more use for the different cards. So those coaches who do have a lot more. And then we're also looking at introducing other different competitions as well. So we're really excited about our platform and what we can do. We can do different things. I'm talking in the future here, whether that be finals or state of origin in the rugby league, lots of different things that we can look to add in other competitions, but then also different styles as well. So I know you've mentioned So Rare there. So they do something different with their salary cap that brings in some of the smaller cards, some of the, players, lesser known players. So yeah, we've got lots of different options, and it just won't always be the traditional fantasy. So yeah, definitely lots of things we're thinking about. And I know with some of those other cards, we're also looking at ways of delisting cards and the quick sell for something like FIFA, where you can actually turn those cards back into something in squad building challenges. So yeah, definitely lots in the pipeline still to come. We're bringing out a lot at the moment. There's a lot happening, and we've still got a long way to go, but really excited with the way things are going at the moment. So yeah, thanks everyone for your ongoing support with that.
That's awesome to hear. And goodness, I might need to go get some more midfielders because my midfielder depth is already shot. And if there's another comp, who knows who I'm going to be playing. But we'll move on. And I quickly wanted to give the Discord a shout out. So Discord just represented hard then, but we do a Discord competition every single week. And what we want you to do is to guess who's going to be the highest scoring player for that particular round. And if you can get that correct, you'll get a 3 times player common pack. Additionally, if you put the score in there and you get the exact score correct as well, we'll throw in a bonus 3 times player rare pack. The Discord is free to join, so get in there and good luck.
Awesome. And we'll move on to one of our favorite games we call Buy, Sell, Sell. So, Heff, you've played this one before, and the cards didn't go too well for you last time. There weren't many too hard decisions. But just to give a recap to everyone listening, what we do is we open a bunch of 3-player packs, and Heff has to decide which player he buys and which 2 players he sells. Now, Heff gets to keep the player he says buy, but the 2 cards he says sell, we're actually going to list on the transfer market at some point tonight for 1 cent. So if you're following along, hopefully Heff gets some cards where he has to make a tough decision, because there might be some good cards. Imagine if there was 2 Sheezels, there might be one on there might be one on the market for 1 cent. So Tom, I believe you're going to drive this. So I'm just going to bring your stuff up on now. Did you want to take it away?
Absolutely. And we'll start it how we always do. We want to open the commons first, leave the juicy unique for last. So let's get right into it. We're opening our 3-player common. We'll see if we can get lucky. Starting off with a gold, we got Bolton.
Ooh.
Another gold with Roberts. And your third one, a Motlop Platinum. What do you do here?
The obvious one for me is Shea Bolton, but I think I've already got a gold Shea Bolton, and I'm thinking long term. So I want to put a Bolton on the market for 1 cent. So I'm going to go with Matty Roberts. Just long term, got a rookie up my sleeve. Guys about to break into the side. So yeah, I'll go with Roberts for this one.
That just means Bolton's going up for a cent later. I'm sure everyone's going to be waiting for that. My goodness. Yeah. Let's get into the rare.
Finally, Matty Roberts getting some love. He's always there as the sub. But yeah. Love it.
Someone needs to show him some love.
All right, let's make this one a little bit tougher.
Ooh.
Please. Ooh, all right. And the last one.
This is good. This is good. All right, so Matty Rao is a pretty handy one to have if to go up for a cent, and Ryan Burns is going to be a good one for the future. So I'm going to stick with my younger gun theme. I'm going to go with Ryan Burns for this one. I want to chuck a Matty Rao up for 1 cent.
Gosh, do I have to put these up for a cent?
Yeah, you do. You do.
I'm picking Ryan Burns.
That's
all right. I want to make. You got to be selfish with this one now. I don't want you thinking about everyone following along.
All right.
They've already got a couple of steals here. Hopefully, we get a tough one that makes you pick.
We'll hit it from the back. Walpole.
Oh.
Roses. And
Mitch Hannon. Warple's my boy. Like, I've had him from year one in the keeper league. Had him on my rookie list. So that means you get to keep him for like an extra 2 years on top of our keepers. That's our rules.
Yep.
And then elevate him to my senior list. Almost got delisted at the start of this year, but I held on to him, and he's repaid the faith with a 114 last week. So got to go with Warple for that one.
Nice and easy. I was hoping we'd got a few tougher ones there, but there's still some pretty good gold cards, like you said, going out in the market. So keep an eye on that at some time tonight. Keep scrolling through that transfer market. Keep refreshing it because Tom will be listing those cards. Trade battles. Heff, you played this one last time. Quite simple. We're going to run through. I'm going to give you both, and Tom, you're involved in this one this time. I'm going to give you both a couple of trades, and you've got to tell me what side you're on it. Now, I've put a bit of a theme onto this week's one. I've actually gone back and I've gone through the different draft classes from a few different years. So, Heff, I believe you've got the first one. I'm giving you the 2018 draft. Who are you picking between Stammy Walsh, Connor Rozee, and Bailey Smith right now? And feel free to put a ranking on it, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's tricky. The Rozee and Smith are kind of more appealing with the forward status. Well, a little bit more appealing with the forward status, and given that Walsh has been out injured the start of the year, but Walsh is an absolute genuine. They're all genuine A graders, but I feel like Walsh is the next level above those guys. So out of the 2018 draft, I'm taking Walsh out of those three, but I wouldn't think poorly of anyone who did take Rozee or Smith. Although Rosie's not going to be a forward next year, Smith might be though, so it might be handy. Who knows?
Yes. That was definitely a good draft class. Walsh,
absolutely.
9, Rozee 5, and Smith 7. Tom, on to 2019. I've got Sarong, who went 8th in the draft. And with this one here, you're actually going to take into account the type of card. So I'm giving you the Diamond Sarong or the Platinum of Young, Green, and Warner. Now, Young went 7th, Green went 10th, and your boy Chad Warner went 39th back in that 2019 draft. What side are you on?
Oh, goodness. If you have a look at some of the players I've listed up for trade this week, there's two I'm taunting. It's Tom Green and Chad Warner. So I even think without Hayden Young, I'm taking that package. But Hayden Young, just to sprinkle on top, my goodness, what a player. Yeah, I got to take those three. And I do know Sarong Diamond is so tempting. What a player. But I can't pass on the skill set of the other three. Elite.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. You're going to have to replace that photo behind you soon, Heff. You're going to have to get rid of Andy and put out Caleb. Alrighty, on to the 2020 draft, which actually wasn't fantastic when I was trying to find a few of these. But Heff, you've either got Ugo Hagen, who went 1, and Errol, who went 32nd, or the Essendon trio that went 8th, 9th, and 10th in the draft. Who are you taking?
I feel like this is an easy one. I'm taking the Errol Goulden, Ugo Hagen side, just so I can get the Errol Goulden out of those two. To be honest, I love Archie Perkins. Another one I got on my keeper league team. Had him for a long time. Well, had him since he started. Similar to Warple, got him on my rookie list. Got elevated to my senior list this year. But Errol Goulden, we've seen premium tendencies already, and we've seen a bit more more consistently. Whereas Archie Perkins seems like he's biding his time till he gets in that midfield. It's going to take a little bit longer. Cox's basically been unsighted since his first years. Reed, don't know much about him, to be honest. So, yeah, I'm taking the golden one just so I get that premium gold card there.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that the Bombers are doing so well when they've had 3 picks in the top 10, and yeah, you're still picking someone that went 30-something over them.
It's all about fantasy, mate. Doesn't matter about the pick. They can all score.
Exactly. It's quite cool to see. Good looking back at drafts. And Tom, nice and easy one for you to finish off. So we've got Nick Dacos on one side, who went 4th as the father's son, but on the other side we've got Jason Horne-Francis, my boy, who went 1st, but then Jai Newcomb also went 2nd in that mid-season draft that year. So who are you taking?
Surely the chat is about to answer this for us. There's only one man I can take. It has to be Nick Dacos. I do love the prospect of Jai Newcomb and Jason Horne-Francis moving forward, but if you have like the best, or let's call it the best dynasty asset in Nick Dacos as a diamond, like, dude, all day. I would do a lot of things with my club. I'd sell a lot of players to get myself a Nick Dacos. So, yeah, give me that, mate.
Yeah, I was even going to throw a few more into it, but yeah, I didn't know there was a few people dropping off in that 2021 draft. Yeah, Dacos is definitely the start of that one at the moment. Heff, we're going to roll onto lock of the round now to finish things off. And as you know, you were back in round 1, you had a pick, so you know how this works. But just to give everyone a bit of a recap, each week on our Monday show on YouTube, we pick a player and we say what score they're going to get. And if they get that score above, we get that many points. If they don't reach it, we get a 0. And the rule is you can't pick the same player twice in 1 year. So you've always got to pick a different player. Now, we've been rotating our community guests in at the moment, and they're actually kicking us. You can see on top, 3 for 5, 380 points. We've had a few different people in on that. Myself, I'm trying to keep up, but Tom and Kerm are just letting the team down. So we made our picks on the Monday show. I've gone for Jordan Dawson, who would have just been awesome to watch in Adelaide the other night. Even as a Crows player, I'm sure you would have loved watching him, Heff. And then Tom, you've gone Timmy Taranto, and Kerm's gone with Rowan Marshall this week. So
look at the score differences as well, mate. You're playing it so safe. You really want that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do cop a bit of stick for it. So what do you think of our locks for this week, Heff? And then who are you going to lock in as the community rep for this week?
Can I just ask, is that Dawson 115 points without the 1.3 multiplier on?
Oh, that's just base. Yeah, so it's all basic.
Okay, basic. Okay, cool. I was going to say.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then who did I pick last time? It was Doc, wasn't it? No, it was Brayshaw.
It was Brayshaw round 1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think this one, I'm going to just go an easy one and go with Clayton Oliver. And I'm going to go, he's going to score 135 with the game day scoring this week. 135.
Oh, what a pick. What a player as well. Wow.
Yeah, he's been in some form. Who are you picking for the Brownlow right now?
Yeah, Oliver is on top, but I reckon Dacos is very close. I just feel like the inside players get looked at a little bit more by the umpires. That's the only reason why I've got him ahead.
Yeah. No,
yeah, great point.
Yeah, I've seen a few things floating around on Twitter, people doing like the expected Brownlow points, and it's getting very close between those two, head and shoulders above everyone else. And so I think Jeremy Cameron floats in, but yeah, he'll float out very quickly. But Heff, we really appreciate you coming on. That'll wrap things up for another episode of the Game Day Squad live show. Make sure you are following along on all our socials for all the announcements of everything that's happening. If you're not on our Discord, I highly recommend you jump on. We've got everything happening there. People talking about trades, trying to get things done before the lockouts. For people talking strategy, it is the place to go if you are into your fantasy sports and Game Day Squad. So appreciate you both jumping on. Good luck for this week, and we'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.
Thank you.